A lot of young people in New York City slash Brooklyn slash Bushwick pretend to not be rich and pretend to be broke. And the way that you can tell whether someone's been kind of lying about their rich parents is if they're going home for the holidays and or Thanksgiving. If you have a friend that lives in Brooklyn or like Bushwick or something and they always complain about being broke, but suddenly they can afford air travel, sorry to tell you.
By a show of hands, how many of you don't rely on your parents' money? Also, by a show of hands, how many of you don't rely on your parents' money because you don't have a choice? Hey guys, it's your girl Brandy, aka Brandy4. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you are new here. I do lots of videos on pop culture, reality TV, NYC culture, etc. So if you like any of those things, make sure you subscribe to my channel. So today, wanted to talk about NYC again because you guys loved my last two NYC related videos. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you check that out. I made one video on NYC culture and how it's dead, kind of due to gentrification. I also made a video around gatekeeping in general. So yeah, if you haven't watched those, please go check that out. I kind of want to just talk about the affordability aspect of New York. A lot of people aren't able to afford New York, yet somehow majority of people are affording New York. And I'm starting to think this is likely due to majority of these people who are moving here slash have lived here, not only gentrifiers, transplants, but people who've also lived here. It's here as though they've kind of just had money, or their parents at least have had money. And I wanted to talk about this because I'm kind of seeing this more and more lately. You think that you are on the same level, the same path as someone financially, and you kind of just realize that it isn't the case. For instance, like you would have a friend who, in college, you guys are just both on food stamps trying to make it by working. What do they call those again? Gosh, it feels like it's been forever since a work study. It hasn't even been that long for me. It's been like what? Actually, I'm lying. It has. It's been 6 years. Am I old? But yeah, you and your friend, y'all both broke together, just trying to make it out, or you assume that you're both trying to make it out, and then one day you're both 27. Your 27-year-old friend just move out of their apartment and buy a home, and it's just like, wait, I thought we were both on the same level financially. How on earth is this the case? And I feel like you're not only seeing this in New York City, but I'm kind of just going to use New York as an example because in this city, especially currently, we are seeing a lot of transplants move here. And I don't know if you've walked around the city at all, specifically Manhattan or even Williamsburg, or hell, even Bed-Stuy. You see a lot of people who kind of look like the girl next door, just normal looking middle class people who they aren't really flashy for the most part. They're very like bohemian chic looking, or they make it cool. They make it trendy in a way, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, we're all just in the same boat. We're all just equally struggling, trying to make it by because we just all look like average normal people walking down the street. But then in another breath, you're seeing that studio apartments are now at least $4,000 a month. Majority of these apartment complexes that are luxury apartment complexes are pretty much filled up, rented out, and you're wondering like what is going on? How is this the case? I didn't expect this to happen. Like how is rent just increasing and everyone is just chilling like, oh, okay, well, rent is increasing. I can, even though it sucks, whatever, no big deal, going about their lives. And you're kind of just thinking, dang, is it a me problem? Do I just not know how to like budget out my life? It just doesn't seem right. Like it just kind of seems like now I'm the only one struggling. Really, what we don't know is that majority of these people come from money.
Hold 1 second. Hi, Dad. Um, yeah, you can verify that charge. It was me. It was me.
So they only actually take Amex, I guess?
Okay, yeah, no, I have my mom's Amex for emergencies.
Can I ask how much you pay in rent?
I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'd have to check with someone.
Dude, the student loan freeze is ending really soon and I'm really anxious. Like, I have so much debt.
Same.
I read this article from the Intelligencer. I think it's like New York Mag article called How Many New Yorkers Are Secretly Subsidized by Their Parents. Boomers are transferring trillions of dollars to their kids one down payment at a time. This is by Madeline Coleman, and it reads, the first time it happens, you're surprised. One day, your friend with the roommates and the wobbly employment and the busted phone, they buy an apartment. They tell you they're moving, then they admit they're buying, and suddenly you're standing in the living room they own. It's not that you never talked about money. If you count the years spent passing $17 back and forth on Venmo, it's just that you thought you were on the same track. That when you said broke, you understood it to mean the same thing. It's as if you were both paddling aimlessly in New York's sea of downward mobility when your friend burst out of the water and stumbled onto the beach. And it's literally something that I resonate with so much, especially if you've gone to college. When it comes to going away to college and living on campus, everyone kind of just appears to be on the same playing field. Unless you're one of those international students who come with a Lamborghini. But otherwise, everyone just appears to be on the same playing field. But then once you graduate college and you turn 25, that's when things start becoming real. There are some people who are able to graduate and start making six figures right out of college. That's not necessarily the point that I'm trying to make. It's more so the people who don't have those six-figure jobs. They're not working in tech or working as a lawyer or a nurse or whatnot. They are kind of just working in a creative field. That's which you see a lot of people in New York. They work in creative fields, like people doing marketing, people, social media content, even working within the entertainment field. You don't really make that much money, especially in entry level roles. You're not making that much money in those fields. So it is interesting when you do see all of these people all of a sudden knowing that they're not making that much money. They're able to afford apartments in Times Square or apartments in in the East Village. It is very odd. So you're kind of just wondering dang, maybe they, I don't even know. Is it the case of, oh, do they have roommates? Oh, are they just budgeting properly? Or are they just broke in the hole and just winging it? Which all things could be true. There's even the case of, oh, they may not have student loan debt, like you do. I'm sorry. That hurt. But yeah, sometimes due to, their parents having the money. And I'm seeing a lot of these examples specifically in New York City where, I don't know, it's like people cosplay as if they are broke in middle class, but they're not. I don't know.
Okay, so New York Magazine just published an article called People with Parents with Money, and oh boy, this is right up my alley. So I have not read the entire article, but I have watched a lot of reaction videos and commentary, and I kind of feel like this article is just adding a little bit of transparency to what is already known. I think New York City is obviously an extremely ridiculously expensive place to live, and it's becoming more and more unrealistic. So of course, parents are supplementing their kids' income, which I agree with. No parent should watch their child suffer, but I think it can be curtailed a little bit. I think there was a quote in the article from a real estate agent who said that he hasn't sold one apartment in the last 7 years to someone who didn't get at least a little help from their parents, which I believe is a condo owner in Manhattan. I get it. I'll say my college education was paid for, and if it was not, I would not be a homeowner now, or I would maybe just be buying a place now 5 years after I close. And it's funny because you'll see influencers or other Gen Z mid-20s people living in these expensive apartments, and you sit and wonder how they go on all these vacations every month and why they're always in the Hamptons and yada, yada, yada. And they go into a bit about a 29-year-old woman whose parents control her love life, which I think is ridiculous because he went to like a state school. But inevitably, like the luxury of it all is like the freedom it grants to people who, can benefit from these circumstances. Maybe lower stress job, more shopping, more vacations, weekends at a summer home, blah, blah, blah. But I just want to like wrap it up by saying that oftentimes these kids come from these extremely privileged backgrounds, end up in a lot of the same jobs that middle class public school kids are at.
I don't know if it bothers me, but it's kind of just weird. Like, I don't know how they could even like go about living their life, how I would want them to go about living their life. But I'm kind of just, I question it. I'm like, why do you act as if you're like a struggling artist when you have this huge cushion to fall back on? And I don't know. I think this is something that we're seeing a lot of. And now that gentrification is just so prevalent in the United States, it's more noticeable now. I feel like at first it was kind of just like, oh, okay, whatever. We kind of ignored it. But now that we're seeing like New York culture, the city culture kind of shift in this new way in which people are living like they're Carrie Bradshaw, and people are able to afford these expensive apartments, are able to go out every night. Yeah, just able to like go out to eat every day, yet have not very low paying jobs, but like pretty like average incomes level salaries. That's when you're kind of like, what is really happening right now? Like, this is not adding up. It's not really adding up. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because it's just been something that I've noticed. And you do notice this especially after you graduate from college, just how many people are really not on the same level as you financially. And I don't think that's necessarily like a bad thing, but I think it is something that we should make note of, and we should talk about, because especially as young adults, especially for the adults in their 20s, I think it is important for us to take these things into consideration, because with social media just being a huge part of all of our lives, our daily lives these days, it's kind of hard not to compare yourself to other people's situations. I'm so a victim of that. And I try so hard to not do that, knowing that, my situation is different from a lot of people's situations. Like, once again, I was raised by a single mother who came from Jamaica. And yeah, we kind of just had to make it on our own. Like, she gave us the tools and then she helped us get to college. That said, like, I still have student loan debt. So it's kind of like I still have to figure out paying that off. So can't necessarily say, oop, can buy a house in 5 years. I can't necessarily say that. But there are other people who can buy a house in 5 years or even less than that. They're probably like younger than me. I'm turning 28 in a week. And look, they're probably like, yeah, I can afford that anytime I want, because they have that cushion. So that's another thing. I think it is important for us to have this conversation, because we really need to realize that we're all not on the same playing field. And don't get fooled by these gentrifiers. Don't get fooled by these people claiming and cosplaying as though they're poor and broke. Don't do it, guys. Just focus on yourself. Focus on your finances. Don't keep up with the Joneses, especially in this day and age, especially in this economy, especially in this during this administration. Absolutely not. That's really all I had to say on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and like this video, and subscribe to Girl Brandy 4 for more content. Bye.